Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. This is part 6 of carbohydrates metabolism MCQs. The very first MCQs is which of the following statement regarding tricarboxylic acid cycle is true? So it is the amphibolic in nature because it involves both anabolic and the catabolic pathways. A liver biopsy from an infant with hepatomegaly, stunted growth, hypoglycemia, lactic acidosis, hyperlipidemia revealed accumulation of glycogen having normal structure of glucose 6 phosphatase deficiency. How many ATP molecules will be required for conversion of 2 molecules of lactic acid to glucose? It required 6 molecules of ATPs for conversion of 2 molecules of lactic acid to glucose. In Rappaport, Lubering shunt and erythrocyte 2,3-biphosphoglycerate is produced from which intermediate in glycolytic pathway? It is 3-phosphoglycerate. An allosteric enzyme responsible for controlling the rate of tricarboxylic acid cycle is it is isocitrate dehydrogenase. Dehydrogenation of succinic acid to fumaric acid requires the following hydrogen carrier. It required flavoprotein. The reaction catalyzed by phosphofructokinase. Phosphofructokinase is a rate-limiting reaction of glycolytic pathway. Compared to the resting state, vigorously contracting muscle shows an increased conversion of pyruvate to lactate. That is anaerobic respiration. Which one of the following would be expected in pyruvate kinase deficiency? Hemolytic anemia will be expected in pyruvate kinase deficiency. Which one of the following statements concerning glucose metabolism is correct? Pyruvate kinase catalyzes an irreversible reaction. Which of the following reaction is unique to gluconeogenesis? Oxaloacetate phosphoenol pyruvate is unique to gluconeogenesis. The synthesis of glucose from pyruvate by gluconeogenesis requires the participation of biotin. Pasteur effects include all of the above. Inhibition of glycolysis, oxygen is involved, inhibition of enzyme phosphofructokinase. How many ATPs are produced in the conversion of phosphoenol pyruvate to citrate? 4 ATPs will produce. Reduce glutathione function in RBCs to reduce oxidizing agents such as hydrogen peroxide. D-mannose is present in some plant products like gums. The general formula for polysaccharide is C6H10O5N. Epimer of glucose is galactose. Cori cycle is both A and B, synthesis of glucose or reuse of glucose. Cane sugar is known as sucrose. On boiling, Bendix solution is not reduced by sucrose. The distinguishing test between monosaccharide and disaccharide is Barfoed's test. N-acetyl uramic acid is an example of glucuronic acid. In place of glucuronic acid, chondroitin sulfate B contains enduronic acid. Which of the following has reducing properties? Glucuronic acid has reducing properties. Molish test is used for mucoproteins. Which of the following does not have sulfuric acid group? Hyaluronic acid does not have sulfuric acid groups. Digitonine is a glycoside. Which of the following reactions produces the most molecules of ATP during aerobic metabolism? The acetyl coenzyme A will produce carbon dioxide and water. It will produce the more ATP as compared to the others. Which of the following processes does not generate ATP? The Kelvin-Benson cycle will produce no ATP. Which of the following compounds has the greatest amount of energy for a cell? So glucose has the greatest amount of energy for a cell. Which of the following is the best definition of the Krebs cycle? A series of chemical reactions in which ATP is produced from the oxidation of pyruvic acid. Which of the following is the best definition of respiration? A sequence of carrier molecules with an inorganic molecule as the final electron acceptor. Which culture produces the most lactic acid? Best answer is B. E. coli growing in glucose broth at 35 without oxygen. Without oxygen will produce more lactic acid for 5 days. Which culture produces most ATP? E. coli growing in glucose broth at 35 with oxygen for 5 days. With oxygen will produce most ATP. Without oxygen will produce more lactic acid. Which culture uses NAD+? Both A and B uses NAD as a cofactor. Which culture uses the most glucose? So E. coli growing glucose broth at 35 without oxygen for 5 days. Which is the most abundant biomolecule on Earth? The most abundant biomolecules on Earth is the carbohydrates, and the most abundant biomolecule in living organism after the water is the proteins. So the most abundant biomolecules on Earth are carbohydrates. Thank you so much. That's all about the metabolism of carbohydrates. In the next lecture, we will discuss more MCQs on carbohydrates and proteins, lipids, enzymes, and nucleic acids.